The evolution of the dragons looks a lot like that chart of caveman growing into erect human being. We started season 2 with little pups.
Size-wise, we knew from the beginning where we were going, but as in life, when something increases in size, its proportions change. It goes from being a child to being an adult. And it also goes from being something that's cuter to something that's more fearsome.
To get from sitting on a table blasting a piece of meat for the first time and thinking, oh my God, look how cute that is, to a 747-sized dragon has been the biggest thing we've had to do.
As soon as we saw the biggest size dragon and we put it next to a Boeing 747 and realized the dragon was a little bit bigger, and at that time we were working with a 3-foot dragon, we thought, wow, that's going to be very interesting.
And then they were progressively bigger and bigger, just keep growing in leaps and bounds. It really all started with a lot of research, looking at dinosaur skeletons, looking at birds of prey and Komodo dragons and all manner of reptiles to understand how they behave. What does that mean for the shape, the skin texture, the proportions of the head to the body?
Really, something as big as the dragon should not be able to fly the way they do. Our dragon designer, Dan Ketcher, sized the wings because he's very knowledgeable, about fake biology, which would be a dragon. But Dan was very careful to size the wings convincingly big enough to lift the weight of the dragon.
There aren't a lot of television productions that have lead characters riding on fire-breathing dragons.
We decided early on that we like to look at real fire as opposed to trying to do CG fire. When you've got a shot that needs multiple photographed pieces, you have to plan everything. Cut to Asuna, Spain. We're in a bull ring with 2 motion control rigs, one with a camera, one with a flamethrower that shoots 50 feet. That looks cool, but it seems like every year the stakes have grown. So now, of course, it's got to fly across a 100-foot stage.
We have to be able to fly fire around in a way that we didn't need to do before. We have a camera on a cable system that can fly around in 3D space, and we've said, hey, what if we put a flamethrower on it?
We would then have real fire on the set, and if we believed the fire, then we'd believe the dragon. And if we didn't believe the fire, we couldn't save it. The dragons, aside from just being big scary things, had to start interacting in a meaningful way with the actors and really perform. So they have to hold their own dramatically on the screen.
It's a really special thing as a visual effects person to be able to play that kind of a role, because typically we're background or support.
To create performance got very complex. And also, as they get bigger, you start getting closer. In season 3, we probably didn't get closer to the dragons than, 5 feet.
When we're contributing what is effectively a character in the show, that character needs to behave in a way that elicits an emotional response from the viewer.
When Danny flies into Dragonstone, the dragon lands, he charges John, and Danny's on his back, and we don't really know what's going to happen. And then we actually get a big revelation about who John is, just in the way that the dragon ultimately reacts to him and sort of acquiesces and becomes docile. You have to add the actor who's missing, and that's the dragon in this case. It gives us opportunities to do things that we believe should be able to be done, but we've never seen certainly anybody in this situation do it.
And then going full course in the life cycle to Viserion's death when he's shot out of the sky by the Night King. Just to see how people reacted to it on an emotional level was an amazing moment.
When the Night King puts his hand on the dead dragon and the camera's scraping right along his scales, all of that had to look absolutely real. Tackling those kinds of believability issues is why people like the dragons. They're feasible. They don't throw you out of the drama. They keep you in, and I think people appreciate that. The dragons are what everyone remembers ultimately. I think they're considered very successful. They're great fun to do. I think it's one of the most fun things we've done.
It's really great when we in visual effects can add scope and create enormous vistas, but it does come down to how does the story affect the viewer on an emotional level, and are we supporting that? And when that connection is being made, it's really memorable.
A lot of people's heart and sweat and blood is in those dragons. So I'm immensely proud of the group of people that did that.